That goes back to Leviticus. Let me see if I can find that. And that goes back to Leviticus, where it says you have no unrighteous laws and decrees. You know, and that's unlike righteous laws. When you keep writing these different things, the Constitution's already set. Where you got you got millions of different, you know, things you have to do for this state, different rules and regulations when you go through different states and different laws. Like here, like some places you have to shovel the snow outside when you know, or you'll get fined. Different things like that they have, you know. So they make up laws, their powers and the justice. And it says, let our strength be the law of justice. And for that which is feeble is found to be nothing wrong. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. That's like the prophets were saying to the Most High. If you go and search through the world and search and see who you gonna find your name in, and he says Israel. Because we're the ones that he gave the faith to and the understanding, the wisdom and understanding of this book. You know, to be able to come out here and wake people up, man. It's 2011, man. It's getting serious. There's so much stuff going on in the world. You know, people not waking up. If you can't see, man, you got birds dying everywhere. You got stuff happening left and right. So everybody can feel something's going on, but people don't come back to law, statutes, and commandments, especially Israel, man. And it says, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because his doings, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He unbridled us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy and transgressing of our education. You know, so because righteous men are gonna stand up, man. You're going to know when stuff is wrong. You're going to have the faith to come out here and proclaim. Just like prophets did of old, man. Proclaim again great nations, you know, of war and pestilence. You know, that's what you're going to do, because you're going to wake up and see the stuff that's going on. And that's what they say, and ejected, you know, to eating this pork, especially when you wake up and growing your beard, you know, different things you can do, you know, especially if you can go around here having a job and stuff and still trying to maintain that life and still trying to be with the law, statutes, and commandments and be with the Most High. And it says, unbridled with our infirmities and education, let's sit to 13, and it says, he professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. And that's what they do, man. They say, oh yeah, we know the knowledge and law, statutes, and commandments. You can't go sinning every day of the week and then come back to some day on Sunday, which you want to worship, and call that the time you're going to rebuke and get, you know, and get back into the graces of the Most High. You can't do that, man. You can't be sinning and doing all this stuff and think especially if the covenant's not with you. You know, that's with Israel. I'm talking Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. When you go out here and you play the harlot with all these so-called other religions, and especially going out here and putting yourself out into the sinful atmosphere, and then try to come back to the Most High, if you can come back to him, you have to fight to keep the laws and see it, you know. It's a work of faith. So you're not going to get them 100%, but you're going to have to try. So... And it says, he professes to have a knowledge of God, and calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold. For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of other fashions. You know, and that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to, if you don't have your garment on, somebody's supposed to look at you and say, well, that man's got something different about him, man. Because you know you're going to keep the laws. You're not going to be out here eating pork. You're not going to be doing different things like that, man. So you're going to stand out. And that's how when we were in Africa, and back then, that's how the Africans knew we weren't African. Because we kept the laws, we kept our feast days, and we kept the sacrifices, and we kept all those. So that's how we separated ourselves. You know, we don't go into the other things that other nations want to do. And it says, he is grievous unto us, even to behold. For his life is not like other men's. His ways are another fashion. And let's jump back into... Actually, let's stay in... We'll jump back to Psalms real quick. And that's Psalms 10 and 2. And you definitely, man, you just got to try. I mean, this is why it's the grace period. When the Most High came on that cross, it's the grace period right here. It's the time you have to try to seal yourself. And that's why some brothers come out here and do the work, is try to seal the elect. You know, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And let's go to Proverbs 10 and 2. Proverbs 10 and 2, and it says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. And when you have this right here, and it says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. And who does that, man? That's Esau, man. That's Esau that does that. You know, because you got to think, our people are in the bottom of the bottom, man. Bottom of the barrel, hands out. Always got a hands out. We're not loaning to anybody. We're being loaned to. And the device that they have when you have people that came into like these houses and stuff trying to talk about, oh, I'm going to purchase this house, and then you can't make the payments now, it's an evil device. It's pretty much you're entrapped. You're entrapped into something you won't be able to get out of. You know, you're pretty much conned into something. And then that's part of another evil devices. But then it says, for the wicked boasteth in his heart, desire the blessed and covetous or covetous, whom the Lord abhorred. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not in all in his thoughts. So right now, most of the times that people want to think of the Most High is when something bad happens. But the true people and the true elect have the Most High on their mind all the time. You know, you're thinking of the Most High because you out here through everything. Like you see a TV show, you're tying that in with the law. You see, you're seeing movies and stuff. And you know, a lot of the brothers do this out here. They see a movie or something like that, they're tying that into, is they telling us about us? I mean, a lot of these so-called movie directors out here know. They're 33-degree Masons and all that kind of stuff, but they know. So they slip in these things about Israel. You know, some of these so-called, like Dragon Ball Z, man, let's go back to cartoons and stuff. But all them, you know, will just hint at different people, chosen people to have this different kind of stuff about them. And it says, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not at all in his thoughts, you know. So wicked person is not at all thinking of the Most High. They don't even care. They think that the life that they live now is what they're supposed to be living. Or God didn't do nothing for me. You know, I got this on my own. I got this, you know. That's a wicked person. You need to thank the Most High you're breathing. Thank the Most High you're walking and you're not crippled. You're not blind. You have all the senses you need. You know, those are the blessings. Those are blessings to have. Because if it wasn't a blessing, if it was supposed to be mandatory and everybody got one, you wouldn't have cripples out here. You wouldn't have people with deficiency, man. I drove here and I seen a dude walking down on the boulevard over here, where all the restaurants and stuff be at. Man had a walker and was walking on the boulevard to the, you know, there's snow piled up so he couldn't walk on the sidewalk. You know, man's just walking with a walker, you know, still doing it, but still walking. But in the same sense, he wasn't given it. His two legs were not, they were either taken away or wasn't given when he was birthed. So that's what you got to think. Those are different blessings people don't take for granted. And it says, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. And that's what they think. People think that this, like they're saying, so-called America's going to go on forever. We ain't never going to be touched. We ain't never going to be paid back. First things first, man. If you do not think that someone's going to pay you back for killing those millions and millions of people, that's got to be, I mean, it's just. It's just, man. You can't just be having that go through time and nothing happen. You know, slave trade happened. They teach us about it. The so-called manifest destiny happened. They teach us about that, man. All those millions and millions of people dead is gonna have to be paid back, man. So that's why they think there was never. And that goes back to Psalms. Hold on. Psalms 83. Psalms 83, or that's right here. It's actually at 49. And it says, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. So that's what happens when you take you take over a person's land. You're gonna say, oh, that's Africa, that's the Middle East area, that's this area. You can't do, if it's already been named by certain. That's why there's so much confusion now. People can't go back and tie that in. You talk to an everyday person and they'll be like, what's the name? They'll say, the Israelites were in Egypt. Well, Egypt wasn't called Egypt. If you go back to Egypt, they wouldn't call themselves Egyptians. Mizraim, that's the actual name, Mizraim, which means black face. And that's what most people don't want to break down and get into. You won't, if you go back in time and think when people were in that era, you got to go with that. You can't say it because, and especially with this book, it's translated from Hebrew to Greek into English. So if you can't go back and translate them back, man, you won't know what certain words mean. So that's where the confusion comes into. You almost got to be a scholar if you're going to be in this, man. And it says, nevertheless, men being of honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. And so, and go back to 10 and 2, and it says, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, and I shall never be adverse in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Who's that describing, man? You just got to put that too. Who had all them treaties with the so-called Native Americans and broke them? Broke every one of them. So, this is going back to that. You got to tie that, man. And it says his way, let's go to 9, and it says 8 back, Salaki, 8, and it says he sitteth and lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. So that's talking about, you brothers can help me out on this, but I think that's talking about, these sacrifices they have out here. Because nobody killing the people in the secret. And that's why you come out here, and we're told to come out into highways and byways, because we're not keeping the secret. If I got this candle, I'm going to let it shine out here. I'm not going to sit here in some back alley place and talk about, oh, Most High this, Yahweh this, when he gave me the candle and told him, go out, man. As if they hear or forbear. And it says, he lieth in wait secretly, He sitteth and lurking in places of the villages, in the secret places like the so-called Illuminati and all that, and doth murder the innocent. His eyes are prevailingly set against the poor. And that's where you got to look nowadays, man. If there's poor in the society, you can start knowing there's wickedness right around the corner. Most people think Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed just because of the homosexuality and doing this and that. But no, it's the poor too. The